Hello, my name is Leasho Johnson. I'm an artist focusing mostly on painting at the moment. I would probably say it started from my father's influence. He was an artist also, and so I've kind of grew up with him, doing all kind of things like graphic designing, car tinting, sign making, painting, drawing, design work. And I guess for me, it just kind of was my go-to. It was my instinct to kind of like pick up and kind of continue doing what I've seen him do. I remember when I just started working on portraiture, and this was kind of me kind of taking or looking at my method of working, especially the more graphic stuff. I wanted to kind of find a way in which, or to kind of find a way to bridge into painting with a capital P versus kind of like using medium as kind of like a substitute for one other medium. Some of my earlier portrait works involve very graphic, my earlier use of oil painting, and it involved the use of like sugarcane and iconography. And what had happened was sometimes it's just so much information that the image and the material kind of merge into one. What I think I've kind of done with the current practices, it's the same thing, but I find the mediums that kind of both assist in the disintegration of the image, but also in the making of the new painting rather. So for example, the use of sugarcane as a kind of guide to brushstroke. A lot of the mark making is actually a kind of like one stroke leaf. So there is this kind of very obvious kind of presence of foliage in the work, but that foliage is kind of like a metaphor of about the space itself, the global south or the Caribbean, where nature and kind of the man-made are always kind of at odds with each other, or there's a kind of struggle between both. But I'm also thinking about how that kind of metaphorically relates to us being who we are. I can definitely say that like what I had tried to attempt with the practice before was kind of doing a direct observation about, people, relationships, history, politics. And what I've kind of realized over time is that there are multiple other people, especially writers, who are also interested in the same kind of like subject matter. And so writing become another kind of format in which they're doing the same kind of investigation. So, writers like Kyle Miller is also kind of like my go-to, but it's simply because he's also reacting to the same triggers, being male and being queer and being from the Caribbean space. I find that words kind of make up where image fails, and where it pairs together with the work is where the words fail, is where the image kind of picks up. And so I kind of think about those relationships to kind of art making that both kind of lingers within language that is, that's readable, art through literature, and language that's developed visually through art making and mark making and color and stuff like that. I would say my practice shifted from kind of like more of looking at public response. It was much more satirical. It was much more a kind of response to a current affairs kind of situation. The interest was to kind of like to find language to articulate a kind of existence, a Caribbean existence, a post-colonial existence. And over time, it was kind of looking at mediums and different formats of art making as relates to effectiveness or the specificity of what I'm trying to make. Now I've kind of condensed it or recalibrated to being a practice that's mostly focused on painting. I use homemade materials. It's also kind of like an amalgamation of drawing and painting. So I'm thinking about areas of resistance. I'm thinking about natural materials and how they react with each other. I'm thinking about color consciously. And what has happened is it's a much more intimate practice, art practice. It's more personal. And it is about a kind of external space, but it's much more focusing on an internal space.